Let me explain it real quick so everyone's on the same page here, because it could really change everything. So I'm funding the trial at Columbia. Then we're working hard on that. There are other great centers that are trying to explore this, because these were very small studies done in France and China, so we don't rely on those kinds of studies to make decisions medically in America. But I'll give you data. Within 6 days, all the people who got this combination of an old malaria drug that's used for autoimmune diseases now, like rheumatoid arthritis, and Z-Pak, which is the antibiotic you guys all know about, you get for head infections. 100% of these patients were able to get rid of all their virus in 6 days. And they also had less virus in them while they were on the pill. So that means we might not be as infectious, and you might recover more quickly for that reason. And for a lot of people in this country, that's a opportunity, especially if you're older, you've got chronic issues, to jump on this as soon as you're diagnosed.
Wow. What about the stuff Donald Trump was talking about, that chloroquine? Because I was the idiot who ordered. Yeah, I ordered some off eBay.
Well, it's hard to find it. It's hydroxychloroquine. It's the old malaria drug. It's 60, 70 years old. It's FDA approved for prophylaxis. It's used a lot in Africa for that reason. And a lot of people hadn't thought about it, but actually it works for other types of infections. People use it for Lyme. They use it for Q fever, these other illnesses that we don't talk about in the context of coronavirus. But when these researchers began looking at the data in China, people who had lupus and were on this drug didn't get coronavirus. And people with coronavirus never had lupus on that drug. And so they thought, my goodness, this is sort of weird. And then it turns out in test tubes, this stuff kills viruses. And years ago, they used it for SARS. They were going to, do clinical trials, but the disease ended. So now we have wandered back onto this old, what's old is new again. But think of how crazy that would be, that we have two old drugs that have been widely used that together might actually be incredibly impactful. Again, we got to prove this in U.S. clinical trials, but that's why the president was excited about it. Not just the president; lots of doctors are excited about it as well.
Now, I gotta ask you, because they did say one person who did use it did die from it, and his wife is in critical condition. So, what advice would you give to people who are trying to order this online and use it at home?
Well, you really shouldn't be able to order it online. It should be illegal, because it's a prescription medication. A doctor's got to give you a prescription for it. Theoretically, if a doctor gives you the prescription, you could order it for yourself. But this is not a super dangerous medication. This is, again, widely used for long periods of time to prophylax against malaria. Z-Pak, my goodness, people use that all the time. So if you start to tell me these drugs are incredibly toxic and shouldn't be used, I'd be disbelieving. It does have to be given by a doctor. A doctor has to check you for a couple of things first to make sure that you're a candidate, but most people would do well with it. I don't know what the story with this couple is. I've been hearing rumors that they didn't take a form that was designed for humans, or they took too much. I don't know the details of it. And with the rumors, you can't tell anyway. But like most drugs, if you take too much of something, it can hurt you. I don't know a drug that doesn't have that side effect.
Now, Dr. Oz, how is China? They're saying there's no new reported cases of coronavirus. Is that true? And how did they do that?
Well, they locked the whole country down. They did
That's right.
Plus some. I mean, they would weld the door shut. So you couldn't leave. And it was the largest human quarantine in history, 60 million people in the Wuhan area. But the other area, the counties around Wuhan, the other districts, the other states, they never really got bad coronavirus. It was all contained in that one spot. But it's a commercial center, so people flew from there to Italy or Iran or United States, and then people get caught up from each other. And once it gets out of the containment space, once you leave, like New York right now is a hotbed, right? We probably have half the cases in the country. So if you take New York and block New York so it can't infect everybody else, then you can help protect Idaho and Nebraska and states that don't have bad, West Virginia, don't have lots of cases yet. And so there's, you try by not leaving your house, you're basically doing the same thing. You're not traveling to other areas and contaminating them.
Do you think we
so why are they not building a wall around New York? Build a wall around New York.
Well, I think we're doing it for ourselves. Listen, the real long-term solution to these kinds of viruses is a digital vaccine. And by that I mean you test everybody. The information goes into an app that you have, and it tells you, listen, here's your results, here's your data. Don't go to these places. If you go to these places, you got to let us know. If you come into contact with people who aren't infected, you got to tell them. And, hopefully we do. That's what they did in South Korea. The real question is not how did China get past this, but how did South Korea avoid this? And they were pretty early in the course, but they were able to use technology, and we've certainly got plenty of technology to very meticulously figure out who was at risk and then get them treatment fast.
Right. But Doc, let me ask you a question.
Treatments will help. Yeah.
What about packages? Because that's the only thing I'm concerned about, because I'm not leaving the house. And people are saying that it can live on surfaces for 24 hours. So what about when Amazon and stuff delivers packages or the mail comes? How do we handle that?
Well, I'll tell you what I do. First of all,
food too.
Isn't all the same thing. When the takeout comes to your house or the package, open the box, leave the box at the door. Take the stuff inside the box. Like if you get if you buy food, dump the food into a different container, throw the box away, wash your hands really well, because the soap, it does two things. It doesn't just wash away the virus; it kills the virus on your hands, both together. So it's a great way. It's better than hand sanitizer, and that way you're safe. So boxes don't come in the house. Your clothes, by the way, if you go outside, then you come into contact with anybody, just hang your clothes up for a day. Over that day, the virus will die on that fabric. The only place the virus lives a long time is on surfaces like metals and plastics.
So cars.
Got you.
Cars.
So it is safe for us to get takeout food.
Oh yeah, just eat the food. Just don't take the box.
Now, what can I take for coronavirus, like to slow it down? Now, people saying vitamin C, you have to increase your immune system, maybe zinc, maybe vitamin D. What should people be taking to make sure they can, if they do catch it, it won't be as bad or deadly?
Well, in addition to sleep and exercise, which are the two best things to do, and of course eating a healthy diet, I tell you what we do. For vitamin D, and vitamin D is you get it from the sun, but these days you can't get enough sun, so just take it in the pill form. That we think can help avoid getting the common cold, and therefore might work for coronavirus. If you get sick, the things to do are vitamin C, zinc, beta-glucan, and beta-glucan is from the mushrooms. It's an old treatment, but pretty effective. Beta-glucan, Glucan. Shrooms, but not those kinds of shrooms.
And Doc, you said like you was talking about you was talking about the quinine, right? That's what I ordered off eBay. On the bottle it says it's an all natural dietary supplement. QUININE.
That's not it.
Okay.
Will that help you? That's not anything. You return that. You want don't get your hands in the box. Return this right now.
It's prescription only. You can't just order it online.
It's called the same stuff. It's called quinine.
No, it's hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, stuff for ED, Doc.
Exactly. No, it's hydroxychloroquine. And I posted yesterday. It's on my website. I gave the protocol that the French used. The exact names of the drugs. I did it for doctors because doctors have to prescribe it. But and you should see a doctor to get your prescription, please. This is nuts. But listen, it's a shortage anyway. My plea, and I've been talking to the White House task force, is guys, you have got to get more of these pills into our pharmacies. We don't have enough. Even to get this trial done at Columbia, you have to go scrounging. I sent my kids out to go find these drugs like they're illegal, although they're legal, but you can't find them anymore because everyone's taking them. So don't hoard them. We only get them if you're sick. But as soon as you get sick, I think it's worth considering with your doc.
Now, Dr. Oz, this is definitely not airborne, right?
Is it safe to go outside, Dr. Oz? Is it safe to go outside?
Yes, it is safe. I would go outside. It's a nicer day today. It's not as rainy. And if you're 6 feet away from the person near you, then you're social distancing. So getting outside. Listen, summer and spring are good for us because the virus swells up. It becomes plumper. It doesn't travel as far in that plume because it does go into the air. So as the virus starts to fall down, instead of going 6 feet, it'll maybe go half that distance. So you're safer. Plus, you're easier to socially distance when you're outside. When you're inside, it's difficult because
is this definitely not airborne?
Oh no, it is airborne.
Yeah, that's why you have to stay 6 feet away.
So it is airborne.
Yeah, it's both airborne. When you cough, there's a plume, like a cloud comes out of your mouth, and it can go 6 feet. In that cloud, there's virus particles, and the virus makes you cough. So that's how it travels. In addition, if you cough on surfaces, which you always do, the virus can live on the surface for, depending on what kind of surface, up to 2 or 3 days. So if someone else touches their face, it gets in you. That's why you don't want to be around other people if you can avoid it.
Okay, now you mentioned hand sanitizers. It's not as great. You should wash your hands. This hand sanitizer that people are talking about kills 99.9% of diseases.
Purex, whatever it's called.
Yeah. There, so it's not as well. You shouldn't necessarily be using hand sanitizer.
If you have soap and water, I'd use soap and water. If you're out traveling around and you don't have soap and water, use the hand sanitizers. They're great, but they're not better than soap.
You don't use hand sanitizer to wash your ass, so use soap.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
You don't know what I wash my ass with, sir.
All right.
Well, thank you, Dr.
Thank you
Oz.
so much for
Appreciate
checking in.
you
We
for checking in.
appreciate that.
Listen, I want you to get the word out to everybody. People are panicked about this. I know you know that, but there's a lot of hope on the horizon. And I think if we can emphasize that and keep revisiting that, people are going to feel much better about this.
Thank
Thank you, brother.